Hello, my name is John Shrives, and I'm part of the Learning Services team here at Royal LePage Canada. Thank you so much for taking your time today to join us for the latest installment of our Building Your Tech Toolkit series. Today's session is going to be all about Google Groups, and so I'm going to show you how you can go about creating email lists and other functions within groups to manage contacts within the brokerage and share information. So with that, let me switch over into my PowerPoint and let's get started with today's presentation. So as I mentioned, today's topic is going to be groups, and I want to talk to you about the different types of groups that are available. So there's 4 different options, and they have slightly different features. So I want to explain what they are and scenarios in which you would choose one type of group over another. I want to go over the basics of how to go about managing your group, inviting additional people to join the group, and controlling permissions as to who has the ability to do what. So who has the ability to post or to moderate messages, that kind of thing. And then finally, I want to talk about participating and posting to the group. So how you can share content with the rest of your group, be it email messages or files within Google Drive, calendar events, or even entire calendars themselves. I really would like today's webinar to be interactive, so if at any point you do have any questions, feel free to look for the Q&A app that you'll find towards the top right-hand corner of the screen. It might show up as a grid that you've got to click on first, and then you'll see this little Q&A button. And so by clicking on it, it will open up a message bar on the right-hand side of your screen, and you can type your questions in there. Of course, if you're viewing today's recording as a webinar, or if you think of a question after the fact, you can always get in touch with us here at learningservices@royallepage.ca. I'm estimating today's session is probably going to be about 30 or 40 minutes long. So why did we decide to talk about groups, and why did we choose it as this month's Building Your Tech Toolkit topic? Well, one of the reasons is that things kind of slowed down in the summer, and we wanted to create some training that was geared more towards managers, brokers, administrators, as ways to stay in touch with their brokerage. And we've been getting a lot of requests from people to get a bit more information about how to use Google Groups and exactly how it works. So the reason that we feel that Google Groups is relevant or that it could be helpful is that it's so easy to use. So the fact that you can share messages, files, and events easily, and it's more than simply creating a distribution list, because with groups, it creates a repository where all of the content that is shared with that group is then available after the fact, so that there's kind of an archive that you can go back to and look at previous messages or files that have been shared out to the entire group. The other reason that I think that groups is quite compelling is that one of the group types is called collaborative inbox. And using collaborative inbox is a way of assigning tasks among a variety of people. So if you had kind of an office email, and there's several administrators or several managers who are accessing that one account, you can use this collaborative inbox feature to assign various tasks to the various people who are part of that inbox, and a way of ensuring that everything that comes in is being dealt with in a timely manner. So the first question is, how do you even go about accessing groups? There's a couple ways of doing that. One is by simply going up into your address bar and typing groups.google.com, or from any other Google app that you're currently a part of. If you go up to the top right-hand corner of the screen, you'll see the little grid icon. And when you click on it, you see a drop-down menu of all the other Google apps where you can find Google Groups. There's even been talk of adding Google Groups as one of the menu options when you're in the RLP network, in terms of those Google tools that you see on the right-hand side. So it's not there yet, but there's a good chance that it's going to be added in the coming time. So when you first go on to Google Groups, you'll have the option to create a group, and you can also find a group. Um, I've did a few searches myself just to see if there'd be any relevant groups that one might want to join. I didn't really see anything, to be honest. For the types of sharing content that would be in a group, I'd recommend exploring something like Google Plus communities instead. But if you were looking for a group, then you are able to do a search for them, although just keep in mind that some may require you to ask permission to join. However, I'm guessing that most of you are here because you're interested in creating your own group, or at least being part of a group that's within your office. And so there's a few steps we'll talk about in terms of getting your group set up. Before I get talking too much about creating the group, I did also want to let you know that the IT team here at Royal LePage Canada is currently undertaking a project to create groups already for each location and each brokerage. So those groups are going to be created using the email that we have on file for agents. So whatever is currently displaying in their RLP network and royallepage.ca profiles. So those groups are coming sometime in the fall. So you're welcome to go and create your own, but these ones will be coming. Although keep in mind that, again, as I mentioned, those will be using the emails that we have on file for that person. So if you've noticed that many of your agents actually haven't updated their profiles in the RLP network or on royallepage.ca, then you might want to go ahead and create your own. The step for creating your own is actually quite straightforward. First, you'll come up with a group name, and based on whatever name you give your group, it will come up with a group email address as well that you could modify to get what you want. And that email address will be an @googlegroups.com address. After that, you can put in a description of what this group is all about. Select the language, so likely either English or French. Select the group type, which I'm going to get into in a moment. There's 4 different types. And then go through some of the permissions, which again, I'm going to come to a little bit later. So in terms of who has the power to undertake certain actions within your group. So in terms of the 4 group types, there is email list, a web forum, Q&A forum, and collaborative inbox. They aren't dramatically different from each other, but there is some slight variation. So I would encourage you to take a little bit of time to think about what you're trying to accomplish with your group before going ahead and creating it. The first group type, an email list, is pretty straightforward, exactly what it sounds like. It's a way of like a database of emails that you're sending your messages to, and then so that would be like a blast to, say, your entire brokerage or one of your offices. A web forum is more designed to be a place that people go to have discussions and to post. People could set their preferences so that they are receiving emails from that web forum, but it's more optimized towards having like an online discussion forum. The Q&A forum is similar to the web forum. It's more designed to be an online discussion forum as opposed to a way of sending email messages or communications and announcements. The distinction with the Q&A forum is that the moderators of the group can go in and mark things as, say, the best answer, and there's questions as opposed to discussion topics. but a lot of the basic functionality is very similar. Collaborative inbox is for sharing tasks and assigning tasks to various people. So again, if this was perhaps a front desk account or an office account, it's a way of assigning the tasks and the messages that come into that inbox, assigning them to different people. So for example, when a message comes in here, I just have the subject line task to be done. You have some options in terms of how you want to handle it. So if you come in, you can take that message or take that task yourself. You can assign it to any of the other members of that collaborative inbox. You can set it as a duplicate, or you can mark no action needed, in which case there's no follow-up required. And so what's really helpful with the collaborative inbox is that it will then show beside the subject of the message a little message as to what action has been undertaken. So if you've indicated that no action needed, that will be there. And so you can see at a glance what needs to be handled and what still requires and what has already been followed up on. For the most part, I find the permissions to be fairly straightforward. I'm going to come back to this a little bit later, but basically you're deciding who has access to do what. So who has access to post, who has access to moderate, and well as access. And you can see there on the right, there's a few options in terms of who you're granting the access to. Is it just the owners of the group? Are you allowing managers? Is it all members of the group? Or is it open, completely open entirely to the public? At this point, I'd find it helpful to actually go into Google Groups and show you a little bit what the layout and the look and feel of the program is. So just give me a second here while I switch over my screen. So here I am in my Google Groups account. I've got a few groups here in my left-hand side navigation that I've saved as my favorite. I could go click on my groups to see all of my groups, and all these ones that I've marked with a star are then saved as a favorite. So just to make it easy to access, and I can see here in the left-hand side at a glance. From this My Groups page, I can decide what kind of updates I'm getting from the group. So do I want to get all email, digest email, abridged email, or no email at all? So basically what it's asking is each time somebody posts in the group, how do you want to be notified? And then of course on the right-hand side, it would allow me to leave the group entirely. So let me go into one of my groups. And I want to talk about some of the management options. So I'm going to go over here and click on the Manage button. And then the Manager kind of taskbar shows up on the left-hand side of the screen. The first section is all about membership and how to add members. So right now I'm on the All Members page, and I can see who is actually a part of my group. I could go to Invite Members to add in their email addresses and then write an email message to them as to why they're being added to this group. You can also do something called Direct Add. So they will automatically become members. With Invite, you're just sending them an invitation, and they actually have to take the next step of they'll get a message. They have to click that they want to accept the invitation. Whereas with the Direct Add, they just automatically will become part of the group, even before they've confirmed that they wish to be a part of it. Outstanding invites is anybody that you've sent an invite to that has not yet responded. And join request is anybody who is who is asked to join this group and is still waiting for a follow-up from you. So let me actually show you what some of these emails are going to look like. So if I were to do an invite members, I'll show you what the recipient actually receives when they get that message in through the system. Just give me 1 second to toggle back. I've got some screenshots that I want to share with you. Here's what the message looks like. It comes through with the subject line Google Groups invitation and then the name of the group. And then you can see my little message in there. There's an about this group, which is the group description that I created when I set up my group. And then there's the option for me to accept this invitation. So I just click on that button to then officially join the group. You're going to notice that when you're sending out invitations, you'll often get a little pop-up message that asks you to do a verification. So it'll show you a words or a number, and you have to type those numbers in. And this is just Google's way of ensuring that no spam robots are going to be sending out these email blasts, and for email security reasons, to minimize the amount of spam that's coming out of a Google group. So if I get an invitation like this, I just click on accept this invitation, and I'll receive a confirmation that looks like this to let me know that I've successfully joined the group, and a link for me to get started. If someone were to add me directly into their Google group, its format is a little bit different. This time, instead of showing up as an invitation in the subject line, it just says you've been added to the name of the group. And again, it has a little message that I've written. And this time, it also tells the person what subscription type they've been set up for. And so what I mean by subscription type is like when I was looking at my groups before, how that person is going to be updated. So will they get the all email, the digest email, abridged email, or no email? So now that you've added people to your group, you're going to want to go in and make sure that you have a welcome message. So let me go back. So here I've already got a welcome message written. If there's nothing, if you haven't already done this, you'll see a little link down here in blue. It will say add a welcome message. So when you click on it, you can go in, begin typing, and you've got a lot of options in terms of formatting. You could add an image like the brokerage logo, something like that, and just a little explanation of what this group is all about. You can also begin to create new topics. And so depending on the type of group that you've created, this will vary slightly. For example, in a question and answer form, it'll show up as new question, but the basic premise is the same. So you're posting to your group, and depending on people's email preferences, they will either get the emails to them, or if they've chosen no email, it will be posted within this group that they can still come back and look at. So I'm going to choose to create a new topic by, so I can choose, am I posting on behalf of the group itself, or am I posting as myself, as John? I will put in a subject. Let's say sales meeting. Decide what type of post. So there's 3 key types of post. There's a discussion, question, and announcement. Discussion and question are relatively similar. The only difference with the question is that afterwards you can go and mark something as the best answer, and how you handle the questions is slightly different. There's a slight distinction also between discussion and announcement. Generally speaking, a discussion is something that all members of your group are able to do, or at least most of them, whereas an announcement is something that only the group administrator is able to do, and then communicating that out to everyone that's part of this group. So in this case, I'm going to do it as an announcement. Here where it's asking me display at the top. So that means that when I go back to the page that has all of the messages that have gone out through this group, that this one will display at the very top. I can attach a file, add a reference or CC, and then below is where I can actually type the message itself. So I'll say, please attend Tuesday's sales meeting beginning at 10 a.m. I'm happy with how that looks. So I'm going to say post. So that message goes out to the members of the group via their email. And it's also then here as an archive that people can come and reference to. Depending on the type of topic that you've created, there's many ways that people can come in and respond to a post that's been made. So one of them is to star it and save it as a favorite so that it's easy to access in the future. You can do a reply all. So if I click the post reply, that's going to reply to everybody within the group. Whereas I can also, by doing the more message actions, I can do a post, or sorry, respond directly to just the author of that message. So it's a more private form of communication. Not going to post that one. For some group types, there's also the possibility to me too a question. So the me too option is, think of it as like a +1 or a like. So it's a way of showing that you agree with something. So it's especially relevant for the question and answer form. If it's multiple people who have the same question, they can all start clicking the me too to give it a little bit more prominence. The other thing that's unique to questions is that you can resolve it. So for example, this question here about the sales success webinars with Chris Leader, someone here put a response. I can mark this as the best answer. And that kind of closes down the question. This has been definitively answered. And of course, you can always delete a post as well. I'm going to go back into the group management options for a second, talk about some of the other things that exist there. Actually, just before I do that, I want to talk a little bit about posts. Because one thing I forgot to mention is that you can create tags for your post. So here I've created a task that needs to be done, and I've added the tags administration and listings. So you can add whatever tags you want. By clicking edit tags, it will allow you to enter more, and you can have up to 5 tags on a topic. And the reason that tags would be relevant is that then by clicking on administration, for example, I could see all of the tasks within my collaborative inbox that have that same tag. So let me go to manage now. So we talked all about the member options. Under messages, you can see any pending messages. So I've just actually posted anything that I want to. I didn't leave anything pending. Under settings is where you can choose your email options. And so how the emails are displayed. identity, so how the members of the group are displayed when they're posting within the group. So if it's just using their Google profile or if they have the ability to post anonymously. Here you can set moderation options, tags, and categories. Permissions is where you can set access for other people in terms of what they're able to do. Roles is where you can create roles for your group. So there's three types of roles that are already created and defaulted. So owners, they can contain, or that basically allows them full access. There's manager access, and then there's member access. So if you're creating a very complicated group and members have very varied levels of access, you could create other roles within there and then determine specifically what kind of access that role would be able to have within the group. The bottom is information and general information. This is really one of the most important sections. This is where the page that when you created the group, all of that information resides. So you've got the name, the email address, the description, the language, the type. And what's especially relevant is the group email address. So for this, my Learning Services Collaborative inbox, I've got the address here, Learning Services Collaborative inbox at googlegroups.com. And so that's the email that I would actually be emailing if I wanted to go to this group. And what I mean by that, when I say to this group, I mean send to all of the members as well as posted in the group itself. That's essentially it that I wanted to cover in terms of the management of the group. At this point, what I wanted to talk about was doing some of the sharing and messaging from within the group. So I'm going to open up my Gmail account for a second. I'm going to go back to my general information. So I'm going to copy this link. And let me send an email message. And so here you can see the email message that I sent earlier, the sales meeting one. It's gone to my email account because I'm part of this group. Just turn some of that other stuff off. Learning Services Collaborative Inbox at googlegroups.com. And this one I'm going to say, actually, about board training. So I want to send a message to everybody about some mandatory board training coming up. Just a reminder that we have mandatory board training. And so by sending it to the group, I'm sending it to all the members. And if I go back into my group, I want to leave. It will come through here into my inbox as well. Might just be a little bit of a delay while I wait for that. If I go into my calendar and I want to create an event and invite the whole group to it, I can come in, I'll say board training, and I'll put in the email address, Google Groups. And so it's added the group. And I can even expand it out and see who exactly is being invited. So there's myself and there's Learning Services. And so I will send out this invitation. And again, everyone's going to get that email. Let's see if this is refreshed now. So here we go. I got the board training message has now come through. Going back to my calendar, so I just showed you how you could share one specific event, but perhaps you want to share an entire brokerage calendar just as a way of making sure that everybody has access, everybody's on the same page. So I've created this calendar for my brokerage. I'm calling it Royal LePage Awesome Realty. And from within my calendar, I'm going to click on the little drop-down menu to the right of the calendar name. And I can go in here. I'm going to share this calendar. And I'm going to share it with, again, Learning Services Collaborative Inbox at googlegroups.com. I can decide what level of access I'd like to give them. I'm going to allow them to see all event details and save. Finally, I want to actually now share a file with everybody in my Google group. So for example, perhaps there's a new board form or something like that. I can go in, I can click on the file type. In this case, I'm just going to use a feature sheet. I'm going to click the share button. And in the space where I'd normally just type, an email address, I'm going to put in the group's email address. And I'm going to share the file with everybody. And so again, you can see it's coming in through my email. And it will show up here within that archive of all of the messages that have been posted in that group. Hasn't come through yet, but likely just because there's a bit of a delay. There we go. So you can see I've got the calendar, I've got the email message, and I've got the Drive file. So that brings me to the end of Google Groups. I hope that you see the value in this and you see how you could potentially use this within your own brokerage and your own office, and even use it at the team level as a way of keeping everybody on the same page and sharing information with all of the team members. So just to kind of recap, let me go back to my presentation. And so we talked about the different types of group and their unique features. We talked about managing your group and inviting members and controlling permissions. And we talked about participating and posting to a group. So I'm just looking now. I don't see any questions yet, but I will be staying on the line just to see if there are any. If not, I want to thank you so much for your time and joining us today. And I hope you join us for the next session of the Building Your Tech Toolkit webinar. We haven't decided yet on a topic for September, but expect an announcement coming soon. Also, I also hope you'll join us for the next Chris Leader webinar, which is August 19th. So exactly 2 weeks from today at 2 p.m. Eastern. That session is called, Is It Time to Build a Team? And it's all about, it's really everything from hiring assistant to building out a full team of licensed individuals and really taking your real estate business to the next level. Other update I want to share with you all is that the Learning Services team is just about to launch our fall Realtor Marketing Workshop. Those will kick off right after Labor Day and run right up until early December. And so their training calendar is just being finalized this week. And you should expect an email communication as soon as next week advising you of when the training is coming to your area. If you're especially interested, you can give us a call or an email, the Learning Services team. You've got my contact details there. And I can let you know when we have your office tentatively scheduled in, just to make sure that that date and time works for you. So with that, again, I want to thank you so much for your time today, and I hope you have a wonderful afternoon.